You are intrinsically valuable and worthy. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to perform. You don't have to provide. You don't have to produce. You don't have to be doing anything in order to be valuable and worthy.
I don't daydream, I just do dreams. Built to fire, no camping. Imagine your next chapter for uncommon paths. It's the roadmap. With special guests you can learn from, more valuable than a treasure chest. Unlocking knowledge, catch fire, turn impossible to a playground. Difficulties, we do them in like a pool table, got holes for 'em. Inspiration, catch fire, find your passion and live for it. Start bold, it gets harder, dig further. Inspiration, catch fire, find your passion and live for it.
Well, hello everybody, and good evening. We're coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri, and our guest, Candy Washington, this week from LA. So we'll bring Devontae in here. Devontae, how are you doing?
Woo! I'm doing great.
And we're kind of famous this week. It's our first guest that has an IMDb page, so that's something.
You know, we gotta get what we can take.
I know. Well, I mean, this is great. We're in the big time. Mm-hmm. So are you ready to say hi to Candy?
Yes, I am. Go ahead, bring it in.
Hi, Candy. Good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for tonight.
Oh, man, this is great. And so we're in cold St. Louis, but you're in a little bit warmer California.
Yeah, we have some sunshine here. We have our cold moments in the morning at night, but can't complain. Overall, we're blessed.
That's super cool. Okay, well, yeah. Well, Devontae, I know you're going to get to the comments in a minute. Do you have any other questions we need to make sure to ask Candy tonight?
No, just be on your best behavior.
Okay.
Never that.
Okay, Devontae, we'll see you in the comments.
All righty.
Okay. Well, Candy, thanks again for joining us. So I think that one of the really interesting things as I've been looking over your website and all the work you've done is just how many different mediums you work in right now. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about where you find yourself professionally?
Yes. So for me, I'm the founder of 1214 Media Productions, where we create inspiring content across film, TV, digital, and publishing platforms. So we executive produced and wrote a film called Narcissist that's now on Amazon Prime Video, as well as SoFi TV. We've also published 4 books. And we also have a weekly iHeartRadio podcast called Sugar Pills, a practical guide to self-care that's all about providing, actionable insights on just leveling up in life and leveling up your self-love game. And we also do meaningful social media campaigns with different brands. So we're definitely on the digital side and publishing side and TV.
Yeah.
So it's all in those different buckets under my company.
That's a lot. Yeah. And I mean, would you say, obviously your career is not new, but would you say your company is getting started? Is it kind of matured, or where are you at in that entrepreneurial space?
Yeah, it's definitely a small business, and we're definitely just getting started. So really why I created my company was because I was doing so many different things and so many different buckets that I wanted to bring it all under one production house, under one umbrella. So I have like my media production company, and then under that umbrella, we do podcasting, we do books, we do social media campaigns, we do digital series, we do films, which is really just great and fun and all these artistic endeavors. But I wanted to have one singular house that housed all the different production companies. And I really I call them my mentors in my mind. If you know Wendy Williams, she calls them my friends in my head. Me, I have my mentors in my mind. So my mentors are, like Oprah Winfrey and Ruth Witherspoon, Kerry Washington, Mindy Kaling, Issa Rae, and all of them do similar things. They write, they produce, they have podcasts, they have books, they have movies, they have TV shows, and they all have their own production companies under which they're developing their products. So then I can go to now we're doing our own scripts and projects, but say if I want to partner with a Netflix or Amazon Prime, which is what we're on, I go to them and I say, hey, I'm Candy Washington. I'm the founder of 1214 Media Productions, and this is what's in our IP IP portfolio versus being like, hi, my name's Candy. I wrote a script. Do you want to read it? So it just gives you validity in the space.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and do you, was there kind of an order of operations? Like, did you start with one medium first, or was it just kind of happenstance that it all started?
I actually started as a blogger. Like back in the day when like blogging was a big thing. Like I think I was probably like in high school, and I started like a little flat fashion blog, and I'm telling you, it was like archaic. It was like candywashington.blogspot.com http // It was insane. And I was young. It was back in the day, and I just would take photos from the internet, wasn't worrying about copyrights or anything that we all worry about now. And I would just say, oh, I love this sequin dress. One day when I moved to LA, I would wear this sequin dress 5 different ways to like all these parties and things I want to go to. So that's kind of how I started out, was just blogging. And then once I realized that people got paid to do it and there was a way to monetize it, I just self-taught. I taught myself basically how to monetize my blog, and went to college, was on the pre-law track, and then I was just like, I really don't want to go to law school. I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to play one on TV, or I want to style them. So after college, I moved to New York, and I was in New York for a couple of years right before I moved to LA. And while I was in New York, I interned at Louis Vuitton PR. So I interned at Louis Vuitton, and I really learned the power of visual storytelling, which you don't think about it at first, but that's exactly what they do. You walk into the store and the clothes are telling you a story. Like, is it their winter issue? Is it Valentine's Day themed? Is it, African Safari Day or whatever it is? And that was the same thing we were doing when we were pitching to editors. It's like, oh, it's like your March issue. How can our clothes tell a story that fits into the narrative of the magazine that you're doing? So that's when I really learned the power of visual storytelling. And so I took that, continued on my blog, and then, we got Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all of the other stuff popped off. And now there's podcasts and vlogs and everything else. So just as technology evolved, I evolved what I was doing to match it. So it was just like a natural progression from there. And I've always loved, writing and storytelling. And if you're not booking the type of role, because I would book a commercial, I would book, a short film. And these are all great, like a under 5 on a TV show. But I wanted those like meatier parts. I wanted different, characters, because when you're first starting out, they're like, oh, you're the quirky best friend. And that's all they're going to cast you as. So I thought to myself, well, what do the mentors in my head do? They write stories and characters that they want to tell, and then they put themselves in it and they produce it and they get it out there, and that's how they blow up. Like Issa Rae, look at where she is now, started on YouTube. So it's really just about taking accountability for the trajectory of your life and your career, and saying, if there aren't seats for me at the table, if there aren't roles for me, if getting booked on something, it doesn't go to the best actors, it goes to who's friends with who, or whatever the case may be, then I'm going to take control. I'm going to make the roles I want, and I'm going to go in my own lane, because especially now in this day and age, there's really no reason not to. People are winning Oscars from movies they shot on their iPhone. So it's accessible, it is there, and you have the talent, and whatever dream you have inside you, the world needs and deserves to experience it. We all don't have to be, Mindy Kaling, but be the most best empowered version of you. Don't let the version of you that is supposed to be in this world not come to fruition because you're too worried about seeking other people's permission to do what you're supposed to do. So that was kind of how I got there. I kind of had to take my own advice. It's like, if I'm going to tell people to do it, if I'm going to be a self-care person, then I need to look in the mirror and I am walking in the walk. I am being authentic, and I'm demonstrating what I'm saying. Yeah.
So I know, I'm sure there's many people that talk about it, but Seth Godin too talks about this idea of, don't ask for permission. And I just wondered, if you take kind of the skeleton of someone like yourself that's talented, and then you have, the democratized technology like an iPhone and iMovie and stuff like that. How do you start to talk about what's in the middle? Like, Obviously there's a script and stuff like that, but what's the hustle look like? How do you start to talk about kind of that meat and the glue that ties everything together?
Yeah, so I think it starts with you as the content creator, whatever, like say, for example, you want to shoot a short film and the only thing you have is an idea and your iPhone or whatever it may be. Take that idea, get it out of your head and put it on paper. Write the actual script. And then while you're writing the script, also think about if you're doing it just as a vehicle, yes, you always want to think big and write everything in the world. Yes, at some point. But right now, if you are just starting out, think about what can I shoot that has one, maybe two locations? What can I shoot that might have 2 or 3 actors? What can I shoot with what I have, right? What is accessible to me right now that I can use? Create that story around the resources that you have available to you. And then when you have that script, go through it and think, what are the props I'm going to need? What are the locations I'm going to need? What are the actors I'm going to need? What's the equipment I'm going to need? And then once you have that list, I would reach out to your network of people. Hit up your best friend. Yo, can you do lighting? Can you do sound? Do you know someone who's a really good actor? Whatever it is. Do you know if I can get a location for free? You'd be surprised what you get when you ask. So think about, who do I know? Or who knows someone that can help me out with this? Because you get way more with a community and with the support of people than you get just trying to do it by yourself. So yes, get your idea, get the list together of what you need. And if you're first starting out, make it something that's you're not going to do Titanic, right? 1 to 2 rooms, 1 to 2 locations, 1 to 2 actors, a very simple yet interesting idea that you can actually do. Get your iPhone. Ask your friends, you have an iPhone too? Okay, we're going to set my iPhone over here on a tripod. Get your iPhone on a tripod over here. So we're getting 2 different angles on the same shot, right? You're not buying any equipment. You're just, again, you're using the resources that you already have. And so you're able to shoot it. And now you have so many different editing software that you can get online to edit it together. You can get royalty-free music, or if you know someone who makes music, you can throw it in there. You can ask a friend that does it. There's also a platform called Fiverr. You have to be careful. Some of the people on there don't really know what they're doing, but they also have really good freelancers at a very reasonable rate that you can get to edit your content or to add music to it or graphics if you don't have those capabilities. So there's very free to low cost technology that can help you do this. So I would say, if you're just starting out, think about, what are the resources that are available to me right now? How can I tap into my friend group and community that I have? And then how can I expand on that? So not just who I know, but who do they know that can help me out with this? And just get after it and do it. Don't seek perfection, seek completion. Your project doesn't have to be perfect. Honestly, nothing is. So don't seek perfection. This isn't don't think I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Yes, have those goals. Yes, believe in yourself. Yes, know that you are going to achieve it. But don't let that paralyze you from getting started. Because you don't need it to be perfect. You need it to be complete. So then once you have a complete project, then you can go and say, okay, I'm going to go pitch it to Amazon. I'm going to put it on YouTube. I'm going to put it on SoFi TV. I'm going to put it on Zeus. I'm going to put it on my website. I'm going to put it on Vimeo. There's so many different platforms now that you can, not just that you can put your stuff on, but you can also monetize it. You can put ads, or you can do per download. There's so many different platforms out there that you don't have to be beholden to the same 5 networks that we used to have, back in the day and growing up. They now are the ones catching up to us, and they now are the ones coming to us for the content. I mean, if you look at standard TV now, they're just making every remake in the world because whoever is at those studios, not to knock them at all, obviously, let's work together one day. But clearly they need fresh talent, fresh ideas, emerging voices, different perspectives, because right now all we're seeing is this glorified nostalgia, which to me just seems you have nothing else. Like, we don't need a remake that we already have when there are so many talented people out there in the world who have new and fresh stories. So that's what I would say.
No, that's good. And obviously there's like with like production budgets and stuff, there's like a risk versus reward. I mean, if you're going to try to make a big splash, big budget, I'm not saying we should do that, but it's just like, I just can't imagine all of the risk that goes into it. I think you mentioned starting, completing themes like that. I couldn't help but notice that none of that had to do with like move to LA, like moving, like, like if somebody's going to take a first step, I mean, do they literally just kind of like start writing in a Google Doc or do they call their friend? I mean, what if somebody's like watching this and they have an idea, what do you think they should do in the next moment after they watch this?
Okay, so if you're out there, the next moment you should do is open up your web browser, go to Google and do free script writing software. Get some free script writing software, get it on your computer. The next thing I would do would Google how to write a script. Educate yourself. Know that you need Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Know what beats you need. Know that you need a character arc and objective. So educate yourself on what goes into storytelling. You need to know the rules so you can break them. So I'm not saying read a book or an article or listen to a podcast about, how to write and then just copy and paste that. No, you want to learn the rules of how to write a script so you can then break those rules and do it in your own unique way. So the first thing I would do is educate myself. I would educate myself on what are the type of scripts that have worked in the genre that I want to do it in. Are you doing horror? Are you doing psychological thriller? Are you doing comedy? Are you doing dark comedy, like drama? I would just educate myself. Knowledge is power for a reason, and also knowledge empowers you. So educate yourself on, storytelling. Get some free script writing software. If you, like me, I'm a writer. I write on my own. That's just like how I am. I don't want a co-writer, but say you do have someone that you want to partner with on it, then get together. If you can't meet up physically, do a Zoom call, do a FaceTime, and just, share a Google Doc and get your ideas out and work on it together. So the first thing I would do would be education. Get some knowledge around how to tell a provocative and engaging story, how to write the story. And honestly, right now, knowledge is pretty much free. You can learn all of this just on your phone, on your laptop. There's so many free resources out there that you don't have to pay for knowledge. It's all out there. Learn about it, get that foundation, and then go and put your own stamp on it, put your own, unique perspective on it. That would be the first thing I would do if I was starting out. And I also want to say this to writers, also protect your work. I think a lot of people starting out don't know how to protect their work, and it's your intellectual property. So if you write a book, if you write a script, if you have a podcast or a website, that is your intellectual property, which is meaning that you created it. And you want to make sure that you are owning and copywriting your stuff. So when you get your script together, and that's one reason why when you work with someone, make sure you really trust that person and make sure the dynamic and the rules of what's going on is very clear and you guys are both on the same exact page. Because you don't want to have the script that you wrote, and what if you wrote, the next Rocky or whatever it was? You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then your partner's like, I don't want to make it. Well, I wrote half of it, so no. So you just really have to be, when you go and think of it as a business, even if this is your very first thing that you have ever written, you yourself, you're a business. So you always want to go into it with a business mindset. Have a co-writer contract and agreement, have a partnership contract and agreement. So if this person doesn't want to do the project anymore, well, what does that mean? If you don't want to do the project anymore, what does that mean? Who owns it? Who has the rights? Is it 50-50? All this stuff. What if it pops off? Then who gets the profits? If you're like, I wrote most of it, but I'm like, but I was your co-writer. Are we doing 50-50? 75-25? What are the terms? So always look at it as a business. Go into business with people that you know, like, and trust. Make sure that the terms are very clear up front and have it in writing. You know, if everybody's on the up and up, why not have a contract? Keep it clean. So just always think of yourself as your own little business, as you are your own little CEO of your own little company, whether or not it's incorporated or not, you know, whether it's an LLC or not. Have your business hat on, because yes, we are creative people and we like to write and do all this fun stuff. But at the end of the day, it's still a business. The end goal is still making this profitable, being able to profit from, you know, your intellectual property, which there is absolutely nothing wrong with. You provide a value, you should be compensated for the value that you provide. There's nothing wrong with that. We pay Netflix, we pay HBO, we pay whoever else it is. Yeah. Why not us get paid for what we do as well? So value yourself. Look at every project as a business and just have like everything in order. That was one thing I did when we did our film. I educated myself. I'm in the union, I'm in SAG-AFTRA. So I called up my reps and was just like, okay, like I'm executive producing this film. What do I need to know? And there's like all this paperwork you have to fill out. You have to get permits and all this stuff. And you just really have to be on the up and up, because you just want to make sure that you are on the right side when you're doing all of this stuff. You want to make sure that, you know, you have everything in order, because, you know, God forbid something goes wrong, but God willing, it pops off. And you want to make sure all of your paperwork is in order, all of your ducks are in a row, so you can reap all of the benefits. You don't want something to come up and you didn't do this one thing and somehow you're out or something happens. Like you just really never know. So you want to make sure that that you have all your ducks in a row. And just the number one thing I would say is educate yourself. Know that you are valuable and you deserve to be compensated for the value that you provide, and look at it as a business, and all business relationships should have contracts and understanding, and just keep it clean. Yes, you want to work with your friends like at Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and, you know, Brad Pitt and George Clooney, and they have all these wonderful working relationships, but I promise you their entertainment lawyers and their agents are behind the scenes and all of their contracts are very clear. So yes, they have these great working relationships. They're great friends. They're making great stuff. You know, Judd Apatow and all of his people, and the Coen brothers, and they all have their stuff. Kevin Hart and his crew. But
yeah,
behind the scenes, everything is clean when it comes to the paperwork. I'm pretty sure, at least I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even like like with my kids, like I don't want to spend time nagging them about their phones, right? So I do like a screen time schedule, you know, like just clean. Like I want to talk to my kids about how they're doing. I don't want to nag them about their phone, for example.
Exactly. You keep it clean. You keep the boundaries clear and clean, and
I like it under control.
Everything. Yeah. And it's always like, oh, just look at the contract. It's not me.
Yep. That's good.
Yeah.
Another thing we try to explore on the show is it's easy to say, oh, I started as a blogger, but then everybody's just like, well, now she has an IMDb page and she's been in all these things, and she's talking about contracts, and I don't have any contracts. So kind of take us through that, like what, we kind of know the beginning and not that now is the end, right? But I mean the current, like what was like step one? What was step one from blogger to like where you are now?
Right. What was the journey? So started out as a blogger, and I had the blog, and I started to monetize it through sponsored campaigns. And then as that grew, I then was also taking acting classes, and I was doing on-camera classes and writing on the side. So that was really like the next step, was again honing the craft, getting educated, and really just getting into that world where I could make the right connections to meet the right people. And then also I felt that I was honing in my own talent so that I could actually like perform it and do things. So then I started auditioning, going out for different things, started booking. I work with a really great agent now. He's fantastic. And then again, what I said before, didn't want to be pigeonholed. So I took accountability for my career and what I wanted. And if I wanted a more, media role, I wrote it for myself. So the trajectory really was just, I'm a blogger. I know how to write, I'm also an actress. I know how to act, and I can write narrative. I can write a screenplay. So why don't I put all of those things together and create something that is in service of my bigger goal of getting, bigger parts, bigger roles, working with the bigger networks. So the in-between part really was just making the decision to show up fully for myself and then doing the action to do it. The in-between part is the work. It's writing the screenplay. It's reaching out to my network of people. It's auditioning. It's practicing. It's going to class. It's starting a podcast and then working on it consistently. It's writing the books and getting them out there. The in-between part is what the work is. And so I think that sometimes people forget that, not even forget it, but they don't realize it. Like, they say it takes 10 years to make an overnight success. So you see somebody pop off, you're like, wow, where'd they come from? And they're like, oh, I've been in the business for 15 years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's truly what it is. It's from the beginning from the beginning to the gloss, which is like all the shiny stuff you have, is the grit. So the in-between part, the meat of it, is doing the work. It's knowing that when you get a no, that's just a no for now, or just a no to not that thing, and not quitting and not, thinking that no defines you. It's working on, your self-care. It's working on your confidence. It's working on, your self-talk. It's all of that stuff, particularly as creative people. We really have to take care of ourselves, our mental, emotional, and spiritual health, because when we're creating stuff, it's like a part of us. When I write that's why they say sometimes, like, I feel like I birthed this book or I birthed this screenplay. It is a part of us. Like, everything I create to that level, I feel like it is my child. I feel like I did birth it, because you did. You had this idea that was in your head, and then you took that idea and you actually created something that people can see, touch, and hold in the world. That is giving birth. And so
plus side, you don't have to potty train it. I just wanted to point that out.
No potty training. So yeah, but you really have to be able to take care of yourself, because I know for me, when I would go into auditions, I'm like, oh, I did a great job, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then if you get it or you don't get it, I had to learn to separate my person of Candy Washington from the product that is Candy Washington, and keep them clean and separate. So the product that is Candy Washington, she is going to go in, she's going to audition. If they want to book me or not, doesn't really matter. Same thing as, that's the same thing as someone goes into the grocery store and there are 50 different types of red tomato sauce, and they just happen to pick this one today.
Okay, but let's dig into this a little bit. I mean, you're still going to get feedback though, right? I mean,
of course. It
matters, right? I mean, it doesn't matter in that it's they didn't want that product, they wanted another product. But I mean, you also need to differentiate, like, personally, them not wanting you from like any constructive feedback you could take away that would make you better. Is that fair?
Yes, but I would actually say this. It's okay. That's kind of like the point of separating it. So your person, me, myself, I am still worthy, deserving, and lovable, and successful, and all those wonderful, great things, and talented as Candy Washington, the person. Candy Washington, the product or the actress or whatever it is. Yes, I can take feedback, because that will then, it's just data, strengthen the next time I go in, or I can work on it, or whatever it may be. Usually it's not even really about you. It's about, we wanted someone taller, we wanted somebody shorter, like, oh, we wanted somebody younger, we wanted somebody lighter, we wanted somebody darker, whatever it is. Or sometimes it is about you, or they're like, oh, maybe, do this a little bit different, do that a little bit different. But when you separate yourself and this is what I do versus this is who I am, you're able to take feedback, and constructive criticism is just like that. It's feedback, it's information that I can now use to improve, versus this is who I am. And oh my God, they didn't like me and I did this. Then like, I must be a terrible actress. I must not be worthy. I must be too fat. I must be too thin. I must be too old. I must be too this, or I'm not enough of that. So that to me, that's why you separate the two, because when you're able to detach and say, this is what I do, then we can talk about the work and make it about the work. But if you say, this is who I am, then you have your worthiness, your value, all of that, your validation, how you feel about you tied up into something that usually has nothing actually to do with you. So you have to really be able to have that resiliency to separate the two, so that if I go up for something really, and this is actually true story. I just went up a couple weeks ago for recurring / series regular for, I'm not going to say the name of the show, but I mean, if I said it, you would know it. Awesome show. Went in, auditioned for it, got called back to producer sessions. And producer session is basically one step before you book it, basically. And I was like, I got this. Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. Haven't heard back yet. But that's the thing, though. This would be a life-changing role to book. But if I get it, great. If I don't get it, still great. Because I'm not putting my worth as a human being, my value, my worthiness into whether or not I book a job. So it's really being able to disconnect and detach from the two. And also, as a creative professional, if anybody's out there who is maybe, like an actress or whatever it is, make the audition room your experience to have fun and to play. Don't make it so much about please pick me and please book me, because maybe you get booked and maybe you don't. It's about that experience. It's about you having the opportunity to go into the room and to show up fully and to have fun, to create a character and to play. And when you show up as that person, you might not book that one, but they're going to be like, wow, there was something about her. Let's bring her back. And then maybe a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, who knows, maybe a year, maybe the next day, they're going to bring you back. There are casting directors I have gone in, for the one I just went to for the producer session, I had gone into that casting office a dozen times for different levels of different roles for different shows. Just bringing you in because they know that you're great, you're good. We just got to find out what's the right fit for you to fit in. Cool. But if I took that one very first time I went in and I didn't book it as an indication of my worthiness and my deservingness to play in this space, then I wouldn't be here. So don't make it about you. Make it about the work.
I think this is really important. And I'm even just, I mean, I don't know if it, you for sure talk about it like you have mastered it. I will say that. And I just am reflecting on my own life, how hard this is too. I mean, you do any kind of sales and, it's just like, I mean, cause you got to invest, and have a little skin in the game to be good at what you do. And, so I guess my mind is going so many different places. There'd be so many fun questions to ask you, but one of the curiosity things that I can't get past is like, how do you feel like some of this was learned? Like the self-care and kind of how you're showing up. Did you have some real life mentors, some family of origin? Like, did you have some people that helped you learn this?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm lucky enough that I have a very supportive family. They're super, super supportive of everything that I want to do. I have some really great friends. I do have a mentor who I talk to maybe like once or every month or so. And he's like an entertainment vet. He's been in the game for a long time and I was retired. So he like listens to me like rant and rave about what I want to do, which is great. So I think definitely get a mentor. When it comes to the self-care stuff, that was really, when I moved to LA, I realized that I had to show up in a bigger way than I ever had to show up in my life. So I grew up in upstate New York and it was just pretty cozy. Had my friends and a family. I went to college. That was pretty cozy. Had my group of friends. I moved to New York. And even though New York can be a grind, that was still kind of cozy because like a lot of my friends from college went to New York too. And then I came out to LA and I came out completely by myself on my own. And I wasn't coming out here to a job. I was coming out here to start, me being, an entrepreneur or a content. And that's another thing when I first started out, I would never have called myself an entrepreneur. I never would have called myself a content creator. I have that understanding now, and I can put that label on it now. But when I was just starting out, I had no cognizance of that. To me, I was just like, oh, I'm a blogger. I create stuff. Oh, I do social media, blah, blah, blah. And I do this and I act and had all like doing all these different things. Like I didn't have the cognizance then of what I was doing. Now I do. But what got me there was then I was just like, okay, like if I want to be a professional in this space, and to me, professional literally just meant making money. That was it. That to me, that was the only thing that made me a professional versus an amateur versus a hobby versus a passion, was money. Do I make money doing this? If that answer is yes, then I'm a professional in the space. If the answer is no, then this is a hobby, this is a passion, and I'm an amateur. That to me was the only difference. So when I figured out I want to be a professional in this space, well, then how do professionals make money? They ask for a rate. They ask for what they want. They're able to negotiate. They honor their own time. They have standards. They have boundaries. And they command a certain level of respect. So I had to learn, ask for a rate, negotiate your fee, be mindful of the energy you give to projects and to people. You know, what are my standards? You know, what does my media kit look like? What's my rate card look like? You know, how am I going to negotiate this? Am I getting paid for this project or not? What does that look like? And that all sounds very business, right? It sounds very business and technical, and we're going to negotiate our fees and we're going to get this contract together. Sure. But it all starts here and here. If you don't have the belief that you are valuable, if you don't have the belief that you are worthy, if you don't have the belief that you are deserving of, then you don't have the confidence and you don't have the tools and you don't have the communication skills to negotiate on your own behalf, be your own advocate, stop working for free, give a little bit of pushback. I don't mean in a nasty way. I mean in a very professional, respectful way, because that's how professionals do it. They do it all professional and all respectful, but they all negotiate. They all are getting paid. And so that all really starts here and here in your mindset. Do you believe you're worthy of it? Do you believe that you are valuable? And for me, I had to learn that I got my value and my worthiness was performance-based. This was before like the shift was performance-based. I thought as long as I was performing, providing, giving, doing, loving, caring, writing, producing, acting, you know, being the best daughter, the best friend, the best girlfriend, the best coworker, whatever it may be, I thought that I got my worthy and my value out of what I did and gave. No, that is not it. That's not where it's at. Anytime you put your worthiness in the hands of other people, you will always feel unworthy and you will always feel less than, and you will always be scrambling to tell someone else how you should feel about yourself. So to me, my fundamental shift was when I realized I have intrinsic value. I am valuable, worthy, deserving, loving, respectable, all of those things simply because I exist. I am, therefore I am worthy. I am, therefore I deserve love. I am, therefore I'm valuable. I am, therefore I matter. I am, therefore I'm important. All of those things I am simply because I exist. So then I was able to come from a value-based perspective rather than a desperate need perspective. And that's really what separates the amateurs and people not really doing it on the professional level, because professionals know the value that they add. They know what they're bringing to the table. And that's why they're able to negotiate. They're not saying, oh my God, please pick me. They're saying, okay, let's make a deal.
Yeah.
I got something you need and you want. And so all of that really starts in your own mindset, in your own self-esteem, in your own worthiness, in your own self-love and self-worth. And it's really a belief system, because if you think about it, a lot of people who are super, super rich or wealthy, or, you know, whatever they're doing, you know, whatever metric that we're using to call them successful, they're not necessarily the most attractive or talented or smartest. Sure, those people exist. Great. But on the massive scales, they're usually not. But what they all have in common is a belief system. They believe in who they are and they believe in the value that they bring. And they're getting their value from inside of themselves, not from other people. They don't need other people to validate them. Look at Steve Jobs, for example. Look at Jeff Bezos.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Come on. So it's really about the belief system that you have. It's really about the mindset that you have. That is the best indicator of how well you will or will not do in this world.
There's a saying that some people use, like, hurt people hurt people. I don't know if you know, and I've been around a lot of creatives and a lot of musicians, like a lot of sound checks, all those theater people. And it seems like one of the other implications that your message has is that you're showing up for people around you in a way that may not hurt them as much. I mean, we all have the potential that we're gonna hurt someone along the way at some point, even inadvertently. But have you noticed kind of with the shift you're talking about that's changed, like how people show up around you and how you're able to show up for your teammates?
Absolutely, because all relationships begin and end with the relationship that you have with yourself. So when you love yourself, when you respect yourself, when you honor yourself, you then show other people how they can treat you. If someone who has true self-respect, other people respect them. Someone who truly has, like true confidence, other people are like, wow, there's just something about that person, right? So when you make that shift that you are the authority of you, and you get all of your joy and all of your stuff from you, you're no longer ego-based and seeking it from making somebody feel bad about themselves, or exerting your power over other people, or chatting off your resume because you think it's going to make you sound better than somebody else, right? When you are good with you, that just multiplies the goodness, because you no longer need to tear someone down to prove where you are. Like, think about people who have certain levels of success, but yet they are tyrants. They're horrible to work with, and they're mean to their staff. They're mean to other people on set. It's just like, wow, you quote unquote have everything, but yet you're miserable on the inside. Absolutely miserable. And then you have some people who live very ordinary lives, and they walk into the room and they light it up because they have an inner joy. So again, it's really not about these external things. Things are things. It's really about the relationship you have with yourself, because who cares what you have if you're miserable? Who cares what you have if nobody likes you? Not that you want to be liked, but if you don't have true, genuine people. So for me, where I saw it really make a difference in my relationships was when I went from performance-based. I was, always overdoing for everybody else, always like such a yes person. Oprah said she had the disease to please. Definitely me too. I had that as well. But when you're constantly saying yes to people and you're saying no to yourself, you're abandoning yourself. That builds resentment. So now I really don't have resentment in my friendships and relationships anymore, because now my yes is a yes and my no is a no. So when I say yes to you, it's because I authentically want to say yes. And when I say no to something, it's not out of respect. It's just I'm honoring my space and time. And right now that doesn't fit into it. Doesn't mean I love you any less. Doesn't mean I respect you any less. Still your friend, still your coworker, still whoever. But I'm just honoring my space and time right now. And so now I no longer have resentment. Because when you constantly say yes to people, and you constantly, and not that these people are bad, but you condition people how to treat you. So if you're a yes person, if someone's always going to say yes to me, what? I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. Say yes to me all day, So it's not that that these people are bad. It's just you're not giving them any firm boundaries. So then when that person says no to you, or if that person doesn't show up for you in a way that you want, or something goes wrong, you're going to pop off and you're going to be like, well, I always say yes to you. I always do what you want. I'm always there for you. Why can't you support me? Why can't you be there for me? I can't believe you said this, blah, 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 blah. When the reality is that person is just setting their own boundaries. But yet now you're resentful because you didn't set yours. So I think getting clear on who you are, what your boundaries are, and communicating that with people, getting clear on your intrinsic worth. You are worthy as is. You don't have to win an Oscar. You don't have to have an X amount of money in the bank. None of that. All of that is great and fun. Have goals and go for it and knock yourself out. But if you don't have that intrinsic worthiness, if you're not clear on who you are and what your boundaries are, then yes, you're going to be acting out of ego. You're going to be making other people miserable. You're going to be miserable. You're not going to have interpersonal relationships. And at the end of the day, especially now, looking at everything that happened in 2020 and 2021, if you're a miserable person, you're getting called out. We're not staying quiet anymore. You're getting called out. So be accountable. Be accountable to first be accountable to yourself. If you're a miserable person, work on your misery. Work it out. Stop spewing it everywhere else. Stop bleeding on all of us because wounds haven't healed.
Yeah, this is good. What? So another question that's just kind of burning in my mind as you're talking is, as you speak, there, it seems like I'm getting a very clear picture of your character, and and you talk to so many people where their skills outpace their character, and so many leaders that have been successful young, there's such a cleanup that they have to do because of how they've treated people before they've built their character. And so I was just wondering, do you feel like there was a crucible or a season of your life that helped you form your character?
Yeah. I mean, this might sound weird, but I've pretty much always been who I am. I've pretty much inherently have been a decent person and just a kind person. Yeah. I think that I have a lot of, and again, going back to having being a codependent person who can't say no and all that stuff, a lot of that comes from being also very empathetic. So I am a very empathetic person. So when I have close friends or even strangers, it's a running joke with some of my friends. They're like, people just tell you anything. People I've never met just will literally open up and spill their guts to me, and I will sit there and I will just talk to them and I will listen and I'll answer back. In any situations, people just have always felt safe and comfortable with me, and I hope that I never lose that. I've gotten better with managing my energy and my time, because as an empath sometimes you can get overwhelmed and you get kind of sucked in, and that's where self-care comes in, where you kind of have to say, all right, I need my downtime, I need to journal, I need to meditate, I need to go for a walk, I just need to spend time with myself and my own energy and fill my own cup back up. So I think that I've always kind of been who I am. I think that hopefully as all people grow and have life experiences and just come into their own person and mature as an adult, you evolve, and hopefully you get new levels of awareness and different levels of consciousness. Don't get me wrong, I've made my mistakes and I've had my party time and I've done all that, and that's great. And God willing, I will continue to make mistakes because I'm a human being and I want to enjoy the human experience. And a part of being a human being is being imperfect, being beautifully imperfect. So I hope to continue to allow myself to make mistakes. And then I want to continue to give myself the grace to forgive myself and to learn and move on. Hopefully not big life altering mistakes. No, that's where the wisdom comes in and you're going to miss those. But I mean, just take risk. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And just take yourself off the hook. I actually had, I was doing a podcast interview right before we did this one. And I was talking to Raquel, who's the name of the podcast host. And I just said to her, if I could tell people one thing, it would be let yourself off the hook. Let yourself off the hook. Don't make being successful and getting it done and being creative and doing all this stuff and having purpose stunt you and take away your joy and take away the fun of it and take away, your laughter and take away your playfulness. Be childlike. Really enjoy your life. Enjoy it, because this is really all we have. This is it in this particular form, what I'm saying. So enjoy your life. There's no there. When you get the car, when you get the house, when you get the money, when you get the awards, when you get the title, when you get X, Y, and Z, yeah, those things are great. Strive, have goals, but don't miss your life trying to create a life, because you have one. Be thankful for the friends you have. Be thankful for the family that you have. Be grateful for the day that you have. You know, every day I wake up and the first 2 words I think is thank you. Thank you. Because you have this day. You know, strive and do stuff, but at the end of the day, this breath is the biggest blessing that you'll ever have. So enjoy your life. Be creative, go get it, but be playful, be childlike, have fun, laugh. Think about it. How long throughout the day do you go without laughing? I mean, me, I'm laughing all day, but that's just me though. I laugh at anything and everything. I walk by the mirror and I'm like, girl, you looking good. You know, it's just like, I just tell myself that. Not cocky, not conceited, but it's loving self-talk. Even if I'm looking busted, I tell myself I'm looking good. You know, I just do that. And then I remind myself, like, if I get any like negative self-talk or anything comes up or like a bad memory or a negative thought, I just say to myself, I love you, Candy. And I bring myself back to center. I love you, Candy. Try it. Try it. Like, if you don't believe me, try it. See how you feel. See how things change. And remember, why are you doing it, right? You always think, when I get this, I'll be happy. When I get this, I can relax. When I get this, I can have fun. No, give yourself permission to laugh and relax and have fun now, because now is truly all you have. You don't want to get to a certain age and look back on your life and be like, what was I working towards? What was the point of it? If you don't enjoy it, if you don't have connection and community and friendship and love and laugh and mistakes and heartbreak and all the fun stuff that goes into this human life, then what is the point? What's the point?
Wow. It seems like we could have ended right there, but I want to ask you one more question, and then I'll let you off the hook.
This is my last interview of the day, so I got time. Whatever you want.
Do you do quite a few of these?
I try and stack them. So today, today you're my fourth. Yeah, I try to pick a certain day, and then I stack them, and then I have that content to schedule out. So I try and stack them. Cool.
So COVID. I know LA has been hit so hard, and we still might get a puppy here in a few months. So we might still be potty training a toddler and a puppy at the same. So after everything that happened in 2020, that still might be my takeaway from COVID: is don't potty train two mammals at the same time. But so, you know, from your perspective, you said you write solo, but I mean, all of your things are end up being with some kind of team, you know, dynamic. It seems like studios have been hit hard, production companies. What is one thing, if you kind of had to synthesize one thing you've learned from this COVID experience?
Ooh, I think the one thing I learned from COVID is the beauty and the restorative power of intentional time alone. The power of intentionality. And when it applies to COVID, the power of intentional time alone would really be it. Because I sheltered in place for the beginning of COVID when it really hit last year, from March to about June with my family. And so being back in that dynamic, you know, with like my sisters and my nieces and all this stuff, I was like, so being back in that dynamic, you know, even though like the world was basically on this global lockdown, I was back with my family. It was really important for me to take walks by myself. It was really important for me to go down to the basement and maybe just watch a TV show that I really liked by myself. You know, it was really important for me to take time to read a book on my own, or to maybe eat one meal by myself. Like, I love my family, obviously, we all do. And I'm so thankful that I had them during that time. But just taking that intentional time alone to like refill my own cup was really important. And that was when I was around people. Now I came back to LA around June, July, where we thought we were going to open back up, but then we didn't. right? It was like, oh, we're going to open back up. I moved back here and then we didn't. And then I was like, oh, now I have to live by myself? Because I couldn't then go back to my family after moving back and forth. So I was like, okay, now I'm here. So I went from sheltering in place with my family to sheltering in place by myself. And so that was a big difference. But again, the best thing I learned was intentional time alone. So now that I have to be, of course we do like social distance and blah, blah, blah. But the majority of your time, if you're being, cognizant of your health and the health of others, you're going to spend it alone. You're going to quarantine, you're going to be locked down. So now I'm an introvert. I like being alone anyway. However, now that it's enforced, it's no longer a choice, is different, and B, the longevity of it. Like nobody wants to be this long, but I still take the time to date myself and take intentional time alone. So I will say, I'm going to go and I'm going to do a picnic with myself today. And I'll make all the food and get my little drinks together, my little pomegranate, my little, tonic sparkling water. And I'll put together a little picnic basket. And I will go down and I will, have my little area by the park and I'll have a day. Or I'll be like, I'm going to open up the windows. I'm going to open the door today. And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to read. And I'm going to take this time out of my day that's separate from emails and writing and pitching and podcasting and all the other stuff that I'm doing. So even though I'm by myself, the intentionality of saying, this is the space and this is the time I am taking to honor myself and to be with myself and to do something that just makes me happy has been a game changer. Because it's never about where you are. It's always about the energy and the intentionality that you put into it, right? So yeah, I think taking intentional time alone, whether you're sheltering with other people or whether you're by yourself, just to create those little pockets is super important. And it also goes back to the one relationship that you will have the longest in your life is the relationship that you have with yourself. So honoring that relationship, making that a loving relationship. Some people don't have loving relationships with themselves. So you hear people like, oh, I'm such an idiot. God, I'm so stupid. I'm so fat. Oh, I'm too skinny. I'm too black. I'm too white. I'm too tall. Oh, I'm too ugly. I'm too pretty. Like whatever it is. A lot of people do not have a loving relationship with themselves. So I think taking intentional time to get to know yourself, it sounds crazy, but a lot of people don't really know who they are. They don't know what they like. They don't know what they don't like. This guy that I was saying, he is divorced, and he would tell me how like we would do, like we'd be like, oh, like what do you want to eat tonight? What do we want to order? And he's like, I don't know, because he would always just kind of default, So the advice I gave to him, I was like, babe, you need to just go ahead and date yourself for a bit, figure out what do you watch when it's just you? What do you eat when it's just you? What do you want to wear when it's just you? What do you want to do when it's just you? What do you like? What do you don't like? What feels good to you? What doesn't feel good to you? A lot of people never take the time to think about what is it that I actually like? And what are the things that I actually don't like? What brings me pleasure? What brings me pain? So really getting in tune with yourself and learning new things about yourself. I mean, it sounds a little crazy, but Candy and I have a ball. We're the same person, but we have a ball. I laugh at myself. I do stupid stuff. It sounds really bizarre, but I just cultivate a loving relationship with myself. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I've learned so much. This is great, and really appreciate you and all you're bringing. And we're just, we're chipping away at trying to create this kind of cross section of experiences, and I'm just so glad that you get to be a part of it. So thank you so much.
Me too. I'm super honored, and I just grateful for you, and thank you for having me.
I've learned a lot about leading with empathy. Let me change my expectations to accommodate you.
First, it was very frightening. I'll never forget my first time on the air. I sat down on the set and forgot that I would need a mic. And that was the first time I thought, there is no doubt they can hear my heart beating through this microphone.
For me, learning has always been the key motivator, passion and curiosity. That's the most impactful learning tool that I have always had. I mean,
We know what the lower limit of like human beings are. We don't have any grasp or any way to know yet what is the upper limit on a human being.